Hey, folks in New Jersey and Ohio. What is up, everybody? Yes, Nancy Pelosi is losing her mind. As the president so eloquently pointed out several times today. Crazy Nancy Pelosi can't string together a coherent sentence. Not anything new. The question is she getting worse? She's not been able to string together a coherent sentence for a long time. Hey from Olympia, what's going on there in Oli? Yeah, so interesting press conference by the president. He touched on some really important issues, making his case to the American people that he is trying to do what is in the best interest of farmers and the best interest of average people, and that Congress is doing nothing to help him. They're just obstructing. They are hoping they can somehow find a way to get him out of office before 2020. And they have a snowball's chance in hell of doing that. That ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Not with the economy and the jobs and the way that things are going. He's making such huge progress that there's no way that they're going to be able to get rid of him. They're not going to get him out. The Democrats don't even have a strong person to run against him in 2020. Everybody who's running against him it's kind of a joke, not serious. So, the president's taking shots at crying Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. It was much appreciated. And then the president turns to the subject of the deep state.
These are bad people. You know, a lot of people say deep state. I don't say deep state. We have a lot of bad people, and I think they're being found out. I think right now, I saw where Comey is blaming this one, and Brennan's blaming another one, and they're going against each other, and Clapper, I think yesterday, maybe is blaming President Obama. Oh, so surprised to see that happen.
Clapper has, for a long time, laid the blame for all of this at Obama. He said if Obama had not ordered the intelligence community assessment, none of this ever would have happened. So there's this, circular firing squad. They're all shooting at each other. And Matt Gaetz is on Twitter today asking questions about Loretta Lynch and the tarmac meeting. And does anyone really believe that nothing happened at this tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch right as the FBI was getting ready to come to a determination on her email investigation, right? So I am having such a good time. I'm listening to Mark Meadows last night. He was talking about there's stuff coming out that's going to curl your hair. Well, if there's one thing I need, it's curly hair. I am having a great time. I am so enjoying this. I know some people are stressed out because it's taking forever. It's taking so long. It's taking forever. When is it going to happen? We've been promised. Well, it's happening. It is happening. I hope it's not lost on you the fact that we're getting new federal judges almost every other day. We even got Arizona Democrat Kyrsten Sinema. She's been voting in favor of a lot of Trump's judicial appointments, which is good. I think Sinema wants to remain a senator for Arizona. And, Kyrsten Sinema may not be a Democrat when this is all over, because the Democrat Party is going down big time. They're in so much trouble. And today, in the press conference, some reporter thought he was going to back down the president and get him to back down from his claim that his enemies are guilty of treason.
Sir, the Constitution says treason is punishable by death. You've accused your adversaries of treason. Who specifically are you accusing of treason?
Well, I think a number of people, and I think what you look is that they have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person. If you look at Comey, if you look at McCabe, if you look at probably people higher than that, if you look at Strzok, if you look at his lover, Lisa Page, his wonderful lover, the two lovers, they talked openly you know, they didn't use their private server because they didn't want to get caught, so they used the government server. That was not a good move. He talked about the insurance policy just in case crooked Hillary loses, and that didn't work out too well for them. So you look at them, they want an insurance policy so that should she, for any reason, lose, remember, 100 million to 1. Maybe he said 100 million to nothing. But should she lose, we'll have an insurance policy and we'll get this guy out of office. And that's what they said, and that's what they meant. That's treason. That's treason.
Now, if you've been watching the president's Twitter timeline for the last 2 months, he's been tweeting out treason, 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 treason. Every day there's something about treason. Yes, Trump is aware that treason is punishable by death. He is absolutely aware of that. And he knows, and now the world is going to know, that those traitors are going to be facing the charges of treason and sedition and conspiracy to overthrow the government. That is what they're going to be charged with. And now they have to go back to New York Times, Washington Post, and CNN, and they have to start to tell their followers about treason, about U.S. Code 18, about treason, sedition, and conspiracy to overthrow the government. People are going to start learning about treason and looking into it, and what does it mean? And is it really punishable? Do they really put a death sentence? Are you serious? For treason? Yeah. This is going to become now a larger part of the public discussion. I am very glad that this reporter asked him the question point blank, because now they have to go back and whether they want to spin their narrative or whether they want to actually take an honest look at treason, 18 Code USC is going to become a very important thing now. And there's going to be a lot more people that are going to have to face the reality that what these people did was treason, in some cases sedition, and in some cases, and the press is going to be guilty of it too. Included in that chapter, if you read 18 USC, you'll find you will find language about publishing information that is intended to assist, aid, and overthrow the government. That would be the media. If the media is found guilty of publishing information that was intended to assist in the overthrow of the government, the media is complicit. They can also be charged. So, look, this reporter did us all a big favor by bringing this up. And it is going to be, the gorilla in the room can no longer be ignored. They came out and they asked the question about treason, and they got the answer. They didn't get the answer they wanted. They wanted Trump to back down. They wanted Trump to say, "Oh no, we're not gonna charge anybody with treason. There's not gonna be any death penalty." Yeah, well, Trump didn't back down. Trump doubled down on treason. And now they have to report to their readers and their followers what treason means. And it's going to become a much bigger issue in the public forum. And it needs to be. It needs to be because the investigations that are going on by U.S. Attorney Huber and Durham and all the other investigations in the DOJ and the Inspector General report, they're going to have some very, very difficult pills for the public to swallow. And the public has to start getting ready for this. And these discussions are going to help red pill people who are sort of in the middle, normies who really don't know much about this. It's going to force them to start learning and questioning what they've been told. And I would say this, and this is quoting Q. Transparency and prosecution are the only way forward. Our country, the United States, and Canada, and Mexico, and most other countries in the world, were taken over by corrupt people. There were corrupt people in the highest levels of government. There are corrupt people in the highest levels of the media. There are corrupt people in Hollywood. There are corrupt people in the corporate world. Our entire system was taken over by corrupt people. And Donald Trump is very aware of that. He has been aware of that for a long time. The United States military recruited him on a mission to help them remove all of this corruption globally. The only way forward is to expose all of this corruption in every venue, in every area of society. For transparency to expose all the corruption, to be transparent, and for all these people to be punished. Equal justice under the law means the guilty have got to face punishment. Their crimes are not going to be swept under the rug. They are not going to be given deals. They are not going to be able to bribe judges. They're not going to be able to have their case dropped by a prosecutor. These people are all going to face justice. There is no other way forward. From the time Trump came down that escalator, he knew he was on a mission, and that mission largely was one of exposing corruption and working with the military, cleaning out a corrupt Department of Justice and FBI so that they could do civilian trials and military trials at the same time to make these people accountable for their crimes. If, as Trump has said over and over and over again, this cannot be allowed to happen ever again. It can never be allowed to happen again. How do they go about making sure this never happens again? There's only one way to do that. Those people have got to stand trial. Every one of them, from Obama, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, Susan Rice, all of them, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, McCabe, Rubicki, every single one of them is going to have to stand trial. They're going to have to be, if the evidence supports it, they're going to be convicted. And they're going to be punished. The only way to make sure that this never happens again is for all of those people to face punishment. Trump is aware of that. And that is the only way forward. The only way to make sure this never happens again, they have to face punishment. And the punishment is going to be very difficult. And look, we have been programmed for several generations to think nothing is ever going to happen. That powerful people are always going to skate. They're never going to be prosecuted. They'll never see jail time. We have been programmed mentally to think that because that's the way it's always been. Well, when Donald J. Trump came down that escalator, everything changed. And when the military went to him and sought his support to dismantle this entire corrupt system, everything changed. The entire rules changed. And I am sorry that you've been programmed. I've been programmed too to think nothing's going to change, no one's going to go to jail, nothing will happen. But I'm here to tell you, like I've been telling you, these people are going to face prosecution. They're going to face serious jail time, and some of them will face the death penalty. There is no other way forward. And as Brennan Dilley has often pointed out, this is a zero-sum game. Trump declared war against them, and they know that they are facing life in prison or possibly a death sentence. They know that. This is a winner-take-all game. Trump is either going to prosecute them and put every one of them in jail and probably have a lot of them executed, or they are going to come after him and kill his family. That is how this ends. Either Trump wins or they win. And this is a battle to the death. It's a zero-sum game. And if you do not think that those people are going to be prosecuted, you do not understand what the stakes are. The stakes have never been higher. And in a game like that, where the stakes are that high, there can be no clemency, there can be no deals, and there can be not much mercy. That's why Cuba's been telling us for a long time, there's not going to be any deals. These people are going to face prosecution. Because if they don't get rid of these corrupt people and send a clear signal to every politician or would-be politician, if you even think of taking a bribe or doing anything corrupt, you're going to face the same penalty these people faced. You have to put the fear of prosecution back into public servants, into the media, into Hollywood, and into corporate America, where people don't even think about trying to get away with corruption. That the only way to do that is to make sure these people are prosecuted. Otherwise, CEOs and people in Hollywood and the rich and powerful are going to continue thinking they can get away with corruption. So, the sad fact is they're all going to be prosecuted. And I would anticipate it's going to look like it happened, like it did when it happened in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, I think, was a good example of what this will look like. November 4th, 2017, they rounded up in one day all the corrupt politicians, the Saudi royal family. They rounded up corrupt businessmen, arrested them all in one day. And we're probably going to see something like that here. There are going to be mass arrests, and these people are going to be held accountable. And Trump told the media today, oh yes, they are guilty of treason, and yes, they're going to pay the penalty for it. So, there you go. It's coming. We're as all these guys in Congress, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, they've all been telling us we're days away from the declassification coming out. And when these documents are declassified, those documents will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt to the public the text messages between Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Page and their emails, and the FISA applications, unredacted. The Gang of Eight intel briefing that they got on all of this. We're going to know everything they knew. And when we get that information, it's made public, it will help the public understand how corrupt these people were, how much they lied, how dishonest they were. And it'll help the public understand that there's a need for justice and prosecution. And we are only a few days away from that information starting to come out. So hang in there, it's coming. I did see that Julian Assange was charged with, I think, 17 counts in a superseding indictment. Not too worried about that. You know, the chips are going to fall where they may for Assange. Assange does have very valuable information that the DOJ needs. He has the source files for the DNC leak, hack, whatever that you want to call it. And if Assange cooperates with their investigations, he may be given sentencing leniency. I'm not too worried about Assange. We have much bigger things to be concerned about right now. And I wouldn't be worried about any of this, actually. Don't worry about anything, just pray. Yes, yeah, you might want to watch Sean Hannity tonight. I've been watching Hannity pretty much every night over the last couple of weeks. He usually has someone on, him or Laura Ingraham will have someone on who will drop to us some valuable information. And I think a lot of that is why we haven't been seeing much going on with Q lately, because the people on Twitter and on social media, they're watching Joe DeGeneva, Mark Meadows, Sarah Carter, John Solomon. We're watching, we've got eyes on, we're looking at Doug Collins. We're observing all the things that we need to be observing, and we're putting it out there for the public. So Q doesn't need to be telling us right now what to look at. We're looking at all the right things. If we were not looking at the right things and not picking up on the right data points, Q would tell us. And I think we're all doing a pretty good job right now. Yes, there will be appeals. We know that because if you go on Q's board, in November, Q removed all posts from the Patriots whiteboard and put in a bunch of placeholders. And those placeholders are very interesting. If you go and look at them, they have sort of abbreviated, coded words in there. But you can tell that some of those placeholder posts have to do with trials, military trials, and civilian trials, and then Supreme Court challenges to non-civilian or military trials. So Q and the president are anticipating that there are going to be Supreme Court challenges to the military trials. And it'll be very interesting. And not a surprise that Lindsey Graham asked Judge Kavanaugh when he was in the hearing, the confirmation hearing, he asked him about the law of war. Is there a body of law that's specific to civilians and another body of law specific to the military, the law of war? And Kavanaugh talked about the law of war and the military trials and the differences. And we were all most of us are aware of that. And I think because Lindsey Graham was partly signaling to us, this is what we need to be aware of for future reference. I think he also wanted to assure the people that Kavanaugh was on board with their plan to potentially try these people in military tribunals. It's coming. It's coming. I think Q's mission will have an end. I don't think we're anywhere near it right now. I think when we start to see these documents declassified, I think especially after the Inspector General report comes out, and then more of this information is made public, Q, I think, will jump back online and start giving us some things, specific things to look at, some data points to make sure that we're not missing. We've also we're going to be going through the prosecution of people related to the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One. And the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One are very, very complex issues that we're going to need a guide to help us understand all that information. So I think Q is going to be around to help us understand all that. I think we're getting a break right now because we all need a break. I need a break. When Q is posting every day, I get exhausted. After about 3 or 4 weeks of doing Q posts every day, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm like, hey Q, give me a break. I got some other things I got to do here. So I'm enjoying the break. I think when the documents begin to drop, the declassified documents, we're going to be busy. And especially when the Inspector General report comes out, they're going to be really busy. So I'm enjoying the break right now. Statute of limitations is not running out. People in the Justice Department, they know more about the statute of limitations and what can be prosecuted way more than we do. Don't worry about stuff like that. That's above your pay scale. Don't worry about it. They're not gonna take some big criminal syndicate and then take them to court and then go, oh, the statute of limitations ran out. Oh, we didn't think of that. We're terrible attorneys. Look, they know what they're doing. Let the professionals do what they're doing. That's why they get the big money. FISA brings down the House. I have had some interesting dreams, not last night, but the night before. Had a series of dreams. I kind of put it out there on Twitter. Big narrative change coming. Keep your eyes on Brendan Dilley. He's got some information that I think is important to a lot of us, for a lot of us to be following him. He's on a roll. I saw him in some of my dreams, just kind of observing what he's doing because he has an important message. Big narrative change coming. Big news stories coming. I think it has to do with the declassification. We are very, very close to the breaking of a lot of big news. We've been waiting for years for this to happen. We're very close to it. Don't swim 3/4 of the mile across the lake and decide you can't make it and then swim all the way back. We're almost there. Just swim a little bit more. Just hold your breath. Just hang in there. Keep swimming. We're almost there. Yeah, I've been hearing news, scuttlebutt about Theresa May resigning. Probably. Cannot confirm that. So I'm not spreading unconfirmed rumors. I don't like to do that. More than likely she'll be out. And then they have to figure out who's going to take her place. The removal of corruption was first in Saudi Arabia. Mohammed bin Salman was given, became the crown prince. He's been working with Trump. Trump and Mohammed bin Salman have been working together collaboratively to reform Wahhabism, to reform the practice of Islam, to give women rights to make it a little bit more civilized, and to get rid of corruption in Saudi Arabia. Strings were cut, the Saudi control over US and UK politicians. According to what Q has told us, the next phase of corruption takedown is here in the US. After the US, it's going to go to the UK. After the UK, it's going to go to Asia and other places. So we, I think, are relatively close to seeing the prosecution of corrupt people here in the States. I'm not going to predict when that's going to happen. I think it'll happen soon. And then, once we have all the evidence of the corruption here in the States and look at how there was also a lot of corruption in the UK, then we can go into the UK and clean up the corruption there. And France and Germany and other places. This is going to spread. Theresa May, Macron, and Merkel are all on their way out. They've lost power. They've lost public support, and there is a revolution. There's a global revolution. People are rejecting globalism. They are embracing national sovereignty and patriotism. It is a worldwide revolution. No matter where you live, hang in there. Freedom is coming. South America, Africa, Asia, it's coming everywhere. Australia, New Zealand, they will also have their corruption cleaned out. It's happening. You just look around and you can see the changes happening. Canada will come soon. Don't worry. The corruption in Canada, I think the Uranium One deal will help expose a lot of the corruption in Canada. And that will be dealt with. And we're not just going to make America great again. We're going to make the world great again. Soros is going down. So are the Rothschilds. In the same way that the Saudi princes were arrested and their assets are frozen, Rothschilds, they'll be out of power. George Soros, he'll be out of power. They're going to take all these people down. Yeah, Trudeau's a short timer. Trudeau is on borrowed time. Has been for a long time. Yes, the Pope will be dealt with. The problems in the Catholic Church are going to be dealt with. It's all being exposed. Yes, I would not be surprised to see Michelle Obama jump in the race at some point. Look, the Dems don't have anybody that is a legitimate presidential candidate. Joe Biden is only slightly able to put together a coherent sentence. He's like one notch above Nancy Pelosi. You listen to him, he's slurring, stumbling, mumbling, can't really come up with a coherent sentence. His speech is very disjointed. He's showing his age. I don't think Biden is going to be a very strong contender. He will get annihilated in any debate with Trump. Bernie Sanders, although his promise of free everything is really appealing to a lot of young people, I don't think Bernie has a good chance. I suspect that the Dems are going to run out all these worthless candidates who are really not true contenders, only to put Michelle Obama up late in the game. And it's clear that the far left progressives, they love Michelle Obama. They just worship her. And I would not be surprised to see Michelle Obama coming out as the actual candidate that's going to face Trump. Actually, I have a number of friends who've had prophetic dreams where they saw Michelle competing against Trump in the election. So I would anticipate that. And, it is what it is. No one's going to beat Trump in the 2020 election. He is killing it on the economy and jobs and everything else. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg is eventually going to be leaving the Supreme Court one way or another. I think Kagan and Sotomayor will also be leaving the Supreme Court sooner than most people anticipate. Would not surprise me if Chief Justice Roberts leaves the Supreme Court prematurely. It is going to be very interesting when all these investigations are done and wrapped up, particularly with FISA, to see if anyone on the FISA court or anyone connected to the FISA court, the judges or anyone, were actually involved in the corruption and knew about it and went along with it. It is going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. They might be leaving early because of corruption, crackdown, arrests, perhaps. Look, the corruption in government, if you think it's just in Congress or just in the White House, there's corruption in the courts. There's a lot of corrupt judges. And I think we'll be seeing a fair number of corrupt judges being removed. Corruption is rampant. It's rampant in government, in corporate life, in Hollywood, in the media. It's all about, do me a favor and I'll pay you some money. And power and money, and there's so much corruption, it's crazy. The way that the intelligence community is involved in the surveillance and how they funnel information to the CIA and Defense Intelligence Agency through the NSA to the FBI and the Department of Justice. It's a very interesting process. I am highly interested in that process. I will be doing a lot more updates when these documents are declassified, when the OIG report comes out. You can expect me to be online a lot more, doing more broadcasts and doing more YouTube videos and threads to help people understand this whole process. I'm just taking a break now because I gotta write books. And we're getting close to having some books published. All right, love you all. I'm gonna get out of here. Take care. I'll catch you on the next broadcast.